Hello everyone, and welcome back. It's Zakiziel here, and today I'll actually be talking about something that I started work on when I was in high school, actually. When I was 14 or 15, I really liked One Piece. And a lot of other things, actually. I'd just been introduced to Warhammer 40k by a friend of mine at the time. And I was being exposed to a lot of stuff because I was really sheltered before high school, like extremely. And as I explored, I started getting ideas. So I ended up writing up a setting which has over time been added to by me, by some of my friends, and the role play actually that me and my friends do in the setting, text-based by the way, it takes place in this world that's been under development actually for as long as some of my friends have actually even been alive I've actually met people on Discord servers who are in their teens right now and developed an interest in 40k. And with this first episode, I'd like to do an introduction to the setting that is Guem. A disclaimer that the well, I'm not the best with names. Actually, I may be worse than GW in terms of naming things. And for the longest while, it's just been me and my friends, so I never really saw a need to rename certain things or to do better than this terrible MS Paint map. Maybe I'll make it a better map in something. Now that I'm actually telling people about this outside my friend group. But anyway, so this is the world of Guem, and as you can see, there there's a lot of ocean, which is this light turquoise layer here. And similar to One Piece actually, there's a conflict between in the various pirate factions that have allied together to form. They're similar to how pirates in our world formed republics on several different occasions. And a naval alliance, which is formed by several different countries, due to piracy becoming quite out of control at one point, banded together in an effort to put an end to piracy. And you can see those as areas such as Ungoro Island, I named after the Ungoro crater in Craft. There's Spoya, Avalonia, Snowcourt, Ulduar, which was another Warcraft name that I took, Paragon, and those are navy areas. And here in the red, you have places like Scrap Island, Skull Island, the Shadow Islands, Tortuga, so on. And now, the pirates, by the way, not all of them are the looting and pillaging kind, mind you. Some of them are just people who didn't agree with the Naval Alliance's way of doing things and ended up on the wrong side of the conflict, such as the Mist Islanders. There's also these neutral areas, such as Raya, yeah, Magistea, Star Harbor, Thracia, and as some of these names may be recognized, such as by people such as how Cloud Meadow is the name of a game by S Purple and his team, and Valkyria is from Out of Placers Comics of the Yinglets. and Candy Island was inspired by a cartoon I watched as a kid called, yeah, I think it was The Misadventures of Flapjack. Yeah, it's a very large world, and even these continents actually have submaps that I made again in MS Paint. This one is Nevendar. It was actually the first continent that I made when I was working on the setting. Nations such as Acadia, Ausonia, the Great Plains, the Solari Desert, the Nozdingard, Poldachi Gulgavi, and so on. You'll notice that most of these countries are Navy territories, actually. That's because many of the countries, actually, the founding members. In fact, Ausonia is where the Naval Alliance's HQ of sorts is, due to them being the founder. Ausonia also happens to be the founder of the Settings Merchants Guild. And this is Pelov, the second continent that I worked on, but is also the one I've, funnily enough, worked on the least. Primeval jungles and neutral area. The wastelands are pirate controlled. Sweat Peaks and Wonderland are both Navy controlled. And Wonderland is, in a way, based off of Alice in Wonderland, and pretty loosely, actually. The idea behind it is that there's a strange magical phenomenon there, or that causes things to change in colorful and unusual ways. But I'll get more into these individual regions in their own separate sections, since this is just supposed to be an introduction. And the last continent that I worked on being Zenyadari. It's where you can find places such as the Blasted Lands, which is pirate territory, Ebonwood and Ironheart, Webwood, and so on. Grimgore actually is the homeland of the orcs in this setting, and I named it after Grimgore Ironhide from Warhammer Fantasy. Because, funnily enough, just before I ended up getting into Warhammer 40k, I'd gotten into Warhammer Fantasy when Age of Reckoning came out. Now, you wonder, these regions down here that are on this side, they're also not allied. Well, places such as Nevria, Sunnyvale, Slane, and Zalandar are what you may consider to be the New World. Places that are unexplored, and any new places I added to the setting would have been in this region down here. Cradle here, and there, and here is I'm not sure if it's large enough to really be considered a continent, but Nation of Akela is full of undead creatures, vampires, zombies, skeletons, that sort of thing. And this circled region around it is referred to as a Sea of Teeth. Short version of the Sea of Teeth's story is that it's full of mutagen and thus horrible mutant creatures roam it. It used to be where the merfolk would send their exiles, and the pit was their equivalent to a maximum security prison. Earthquake broke that open. And there's three islands, Citrus, Pickle, and Maple Island, which were advised as jokes, actually. But that is that is that is the Guem in the broadest sense. There's many different ideas that were incorporated into it from many different things that inspired. some inspirations were, as I mentioned, from Warcraft. Some were even from browser card games I played, such as Rivals, Eridan. Some things were inspired by Warhammer Fantasy, Warhammer 40K, the the Disciples game series, which actually happened to be my introduction to PC gaming, actually, with Disciples too. And that's why Nevendar had its name. It's named after the world. It's the main continent, that is, in Disciples series. Oh, and one of the inspirations actually was the Endless series of games, such as Endless Legend and so on. That's why I have Auriga here, but named this Auriga. And Naturalist was named after an interesting little game I once played called Dark Planet Battle for Naturalists. But I hope that been a good introduction to this world. I there's a lot of things that get into detail, and I will in future. And if you have any questions whatsoever, just want to talk about the setting, feel free to hit me up in the comments. But for now, we're signing off, and I wish you all a wonderful day.